Podcasting.
Podcasting. Let me know when you're ready, sir.
I'm already ready. It's recording.
It's maybe recording. We have to edit some of this.
I don't.
That's fair. You don't edit shit.
I hope this doesn't sound awful as I move the microphone all around.
It probably will, but that's okay.
I'm ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crack a Coolins podcast, where a couple of guys are gonna enjoy some recently opened chilled beverages and pretend like we know what we're talking about. I'm one of the guys, Christian,
I'm the other one. My name's Grayson.
and
I love seeing that red over on the volume over there.
let's crack a cold one. Sponsored by Generic Beer.
Woo! We learned our lesson because I'm pretty sure I had the logo out the entire last video. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
if
There was
a
no logo.
But there wasn't. I don't have the docket up, despite typing it all up.
He did
Professional
type it up.
podcast.
Professional. We're going to start with some last-minute coaching hires by the rest of the league. Everybody finally seemed to have caught up with themselves. By the way, everybody also got an iPhone, so I'm learning how to use that. That's
Not
fun.
poor anymore.
Actually, I am poor.
Poorer than ever, maybe.
Sponsor us, please.
Please, for the love of God, beer. If you're out there, if you're listening, beer.
any
of you,
beer,
any
beer,
I'll
beer,
drink it. Honestly.
beer. Oh, tobacco, maybe even.
Tobacco, honestly,
We'll take
I'll
it.
spit on camera. I don't care. Okay, so for the coaching news, I'm just gonna rattle them off light quick, and then if we have any we want to talk about, we can go through it. But there are some that are a little sexier than others.
I agree.
Mike LaFleur is going to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Two LaFleur brothers in the NFC. That is slightly interesting.
He's coming over from the Rams OC job. We have Clint Kubiak of the Seahawks offensive coordinatorship heading over to head coach the Raiders.
After the Super Bowl, so best of luck to him. You're going to need it.
Absolutely. We have for the Browns. No, you don't have the Browns thing on. I thought you had something brown. We have Todd Monken, the Ravens OC, heading over to the Browns to head coach them. Was he the OC this season?
No.
I didn't think so.
They had the DC in-house,
Yeah.
who was ready to be the coach, who was well-respected, who Myles Garrett wanted. And he was even asked to stay on. You know what he said to ownership?
No.
Go fuck yourself, essentially, is what he said. He left the building as fast as he fucking could.
I would too. For the Bills, their head coach has been selected. It's going to be Joe Brady, their OC. He was promoted.
I fucking hate it,
Interesting.
to be honest with you.
And then for their defensive coordinator, it's going to be Jim Leonard, the Broncos defensive pass game coordinator / assistant head coach.
Don't hate that, actually.
I don't either. For the Eagles, we have Sean Mannion to be their OC. He is the former Green Bay quarterback coach.
I also don't hate that because I think it's going to be great for development. I do believe if anybody can kind of help get that passing game together, it's going to be him. But also bringing in former Bucks OC, Josh Grizzard. Is he Grizzy?
Get grizzy with it.
As the pass game coordinator. I think those two minds put together, especially if Sean Mannion does show he's a really good OC and goes and coaches elsewhere. You have somebody who was an OC.
Josh Grizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And then the Vikings have fired their GM, Kwesi
Adolfo
Mensa.
Sam Darnold, anybody?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
We got one more, so let me just say this one first. The Ravens, their OC is going to be Declan Doyle, formerly the Bears offensive coordinator. And then just really quick, the Vikings firing their GM is so interesting to me because nothing's changed since the start of this season to really warrant this for me. Like, why
I think it
now?
is to see that it's honestly an emotion. It's an emotional firing. You see, Daniel Jones was kicking ass at the beginning of the year before he got hurt, and the Colts seemingly might have their dude for a while. I wouldn't say the dude of the future, but somebody who's going to be the bridge player, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you have Sam Darnold going to be in the Super Bowl, putting up MVP numbers, looking fantastic for the most part. He could, as you like to say, go pumpkin.
He could still go pumpkin, but it does kind of feel, like you said, like an emotional fire. It feels like they saw that Sam Darnold was going to the Super Bowl and was like, all right, get this guy out of here,
Well,
which is just a little bit of an odd thing.
I think also considering that he was just extended last year or earlier this year. One of those two. Can't
I
remember.
think last year, if memory serves, but I'm talking out of my ass. So
Well, and I think also seeing that your quarterback that you drafted was injured 2 years in a row, and then this year was on the field, off the field, on the field, off the field. And Kevin O'Connell's not a bad coach. He is a fantastic
coach. And he's been the quarterback whisperer. He's shown Coach of the Year winner, warranted. He's had extremely successful seasons, but we've seen two very strong quarterbacks come and go while they still have what is arguably looking like one of the biggest busts that we've seen in recent memory at the quarterback position.
Exactly. And Michigan... sorry, I couldn't help myself. As a Buckeye, Michigan, that team with Harbaugh showed that Harbaugh, as the coach, and his team around him and the staff was the one who supported McCarthy. It wasn't McCarthy himself, and a lot of pundits have been saying that, and I agree. I was willing to give him a chance to a point, but he can do well with people around him if they're healthy, but Justin Jefferson is that guy, and he wasn't able to show it. I mean, all that LSU talent is just fantastic, but he was not able to show that this year, and it was a waste of a year for him, and it was kind of bullshit.
They barely got him to 1,000 yards, which I am glad that they managed to do that. There was a big emphasis on that with them, and I do respect that. And I do want to shout out Justin Jefferson. I know you're watching. I
Jets.
so respect the poise that he had through this season to keep it all together and not really talk mess about anyone. There's a lot of people pointing towards a recent podcast that he did where he essentially, someone flat out asked him, do you think that you guys would have made the Super Bowl if you had Sam Darnold this year instead? And he was like, well, obviously we would have won more games if we had Darnold, but that's how the process works. And he was very realistic and honest about it. He didn't just say no, of course JJ's the guy. No, he was honest and was like, yeah, we would have won more games with Darnold, but he didn't throw anybody under the bus. And that's the one thing you can even point to as a diva moment. He has handled this.
I wouldn't even say that was a diva moment. That was honest while being tactful about it.
I just mean that's what people have been saying. I've seen a lot of folks being like, "Oh, now he's going diva."
No,
it's not.
No,
that
this
at
is.
all.
I mean, for those of us who were around from the NFL at that time, I mean, who remembers Terrell Owens? Who remembers Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, OBJ? And that's a much sooner, a much early, a closer take than those guys. I mean, not doing crunches in your working out in your driveway kind of thing.
But even Tyreek Hill, we have a lot of diva wide receivers in the league. I do really
AJ Brown.
respect that Jetta has kept his composure this well. It did feel like a little bit of a petty fire on the GM. I don't know if McCarthy's the guy or not. It's looking more and more like no, but he has intangibles, and I do want to point that out, that his locker room presence has been really strong. The 9 stuff is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But when he's playing well, I see the flashes. But, they wasted a couple of years.
He needs to have a support group around him, and I don't mean that in the substance kind of support. But he definitely needs a lineman. That support. He needs a great coach. He needs the weapons around him. I want to go back to Jets really quick. We should put up the cereal, by the way. As our little...
Oh, yeah, we should. Keep talking.
I will definitely keep talking. So there is a certain documentary series on a certain platform that we can't really say because we're not sponsored, that kind of really showed his personality, right? Showed that, on the field he is a certain guy, and then off the field he is...
It's going away because they also have a brand on there, but I did want to show it.
That's fair. There's a lot of brands on there.
There's a lot of brands, and I don't know what we can and can't show because I don't know anything.
I don't like being
We barely
sued.
know stuff.
We don't want to be sued. But there was a certain documentary series on a certain streaming platform, and once we have money, I won't care not to say it or they sponsor us. They have a certain series on the
Receivers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A certain documentary series.
Yeah, whatever it could be. I don't know. Rules.
He showed his class, hey, on the field, I am Jets. I'm Jettis. I'm this guy. But off the field, I am Justin, and this is who I am. He's a humble guy. He takes his craft very seriously. Actually, all those receivers that they interviewed, for the most part,
There was one exception, but
Correct. They take their craft very seriously and show themselves and didn't show their ass. And I do believe that this is who he is now. Could he become because that diva? Maybe, but he hasn't shown it. And the fact that he is a lot of these new age receivers are very professional.
yes, I think we've seen a big swap from the wide receiver diva-ness. There's still a little bit of that. Like, I mean, A.J. Brown whined a lot this year, kind of warranted, in my opinion. He was not getting the ball much, and that team was a mess, as we really saw in the playoffs. But I do think a little bit of that, like, they need the ball mentality exists, and probably should. It shows that, like, extra competitive drive. I need to get the ball so I can show what I do and stuff like that. But when you take it to that level past that and you start throwing people under the bus, you start talking bad about folks, like, that's really when I get a problem. And I really, really respect that in a really easy situation to do so, that Justin Jefferson did none of that.
So crazy talk. If halfway through the season they're not doing well, do the Minnesota Vikings somehow, some way, trade for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase?
Well, I actually have a little bit of this to discuss when we talk about free agents later, but I have a sneaking suspicion Malik Willis may end up on the Vikings.
I have a sneaking suspicion Malik Willis will be on the Browns.
It seems like Shador's their guy. Based off of, we can kind of get into, we don't need to get into, but Todd Monken did talk with Shador. They videoed it. It was kind of awkward, but it seems like they're really giving
Good on them for
Shador
trying.
the run. Like, they're giving him the space. They made a big moment out of meeting him, and he was like, "Man, we were gonna draft your ass in the 5th round, and like we got to talk more about that." And like, it seems like Monken's trying to make that connection. And I think they want to legitimately give Shador a shot.
And kind of fun fact, he was
on.
on the Cleveland staff before with Stefanski and everything. He worked with David Njoku. Njoku seemed to really like him, so I think that's going to help keep Njoku around for at least a little while. Yeah. But anyway,
I think Shador has earned a shot.
Sure.
I think they're in a similar boat to the Giants, where like, if a quarterback falls into your lap, are you going to look at it sideways? No. But Shador showed a decent amount of promise. He showed some things that you can develop out. It was a lot of holding the ball too long and taking unnecessary sacks, but he was pretty accurate. He
Very
made some
accurate.
really good passes.
Pretty good ball vision, actually.
Yeah, pretty good ball vision. I thought, honestly, he played really well, and he has really united a team that's been so messy, and he's united a fan base that has been depressed. So I do give a lot of credit to Shador for what he has managed to do. I don't want to look at you right now. And I think you give him a shot, and it seems like Monken wants to do that.
Okay, hold on.
So I do think Malik Willis is more likely a Viking than a Brown.
Hold
what's
on.
going on, big dog?
That was depressed? You mean has remained depressed for the past
remained depressed.
30 fucking years?
It's going to continue being depressed until the
Fuck
end of time.
you, Art Modell, by the way. Go fuck
The
yourself.
Browns will never be good.
Oh, my God. Hey, did you know people piss on his grave still, by the way?
As they should. Other notable hires, Clint Kubiak, I think, is like sneaky one of the best hires this entire cycle. He looks so good on the Seahawks. And I think the Raiders is a decent situation if you really consider the big picture. So I think Kubiak could have a really good run there. And worth noting, it's not technically confirmed. He said, like, basically, I really want to, but they can't sign the paperwork until after the Super Bowl. So it's not, like, slam dunked, but it might as well be.
So, real quick, I have my 3 coaches I think was actually great for this hiring cycle. Now, is there like a 4 and 5? Sure, but I want to talk about 3 if that's okay with you. I think number 1 for me is Harbaugh. John Harbaugh to the Giants. I think it's going to be a culture builder. He's worked with great defenses. He's worked with great personalities in the past with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, a bunch of other guys. I think that's going to be great for Scadaboo. It's going to be great for Jackson Dart. It's going to be great for Abdul Carter, a CEO, a guy who, because he was a special teams coach before he was.
He's not going to play call or anything like that, but he is going to build the organization, the team, and I do think that's exactly what they need. I have more questions. Yeah, give me my beers. I have more questions about Harbaugh because I have more questions about them keeping on their GM. That seems to be a bit of an issue. And there's just a lot more questions about Harbaugh and some of the mistakes with the Ravens. So I don't have them at like easy slam dunk.
To be fair, I think we can look at guys like Harbaugh. You can look at guys like Tomlin, who are very good coaches, but have been there for so long that the talk gets stale. The message isn't what it used to be. And going somewhere new is great. I mean, you see people in power do that all the time. Maybe a CEO, an owner, ownership sells something off, or a CEO leaves a company and they become better elsewhere, or a different one comes in, the company thrives. I think that is kind of where we're at with the Ravens and what we're at with. I'm not gonna talk about the Steelers actually. But
I
I
don't
think
even know if the Steelers were at that point as much. I think it's been a little bit of other stuff going on. I do think it was time for Tomlin to move on, but
yes,
I do agree. I think but I just don't want to give him the slam dunk like John
Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh
Jim's
is like the
in Los
easiest
Angeles.
slam dunk best coach in the cycle because there are some questions.
There are some questions, but I do think he is the best coach in the cycle.
I think he's like easy top 3, and I just don't want to like give him the stamp today. You know what I mean?
Do you have a number 1 so far?
Honestly,
because I have my other 2. I'm ready to go.
I think Stefanski's also a little bit in the similar boat of like I don't know how good it's going to be because we have a weird selection to look at with the Browns. They didn't give him a lot of support, and he also made some choices I don't love, like the way that he treated certain players like Shador. He didn't really give him a great shot.
To be fair, I think, and it's not even that fair because Shador, but I think is kind of a fuck you to ownership because the ownership has been so awful with the Haslams.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it, but that's what I mean. It just puts it in that like question mark. I honestly think Jesse Minter is one of my favorite pickups. It's not a veteran head coach that you can put in, so it's hard to put him as a number 1, but that is the one that I think I've felt the best at looking at the whole cycle altogether. Probably him and Saleh are my like top 2. I think these are like really, really good hires that I have a lot of faith in.
Now that you said it, my number 2 is Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh brings that defensive culture. Titans has been a defensive culture in the past, and he brings Brian Daboll as the OC. That's going to really help Cam Ward and help that offense out. It's a guy who was a head coach who got that experience with the Jets, but apparently nobody does well with the Jets.
No, and he got screwed by management. He kind of got scapegoated. I mean, obviously because Saleh had that I don't even want to call it bad. He did pretty good with the Jets, all things considered.
His side of the ball was fantastic.
Yeah, and they had a little bit of a run there. You also had your quarterback dead for a lot of that. Like, I don't really want to put it all on Saleh, but there is – like, if you look at just the stats, his win-loss is not great. So, technically, it's not a slam dunk if you're going off that. But if you really look at what the man's accomplished, like, he's incredible on the defensive
But this is a guy who knows what he's about, and he brought in somebody who's like, hey, this guy was a head coach. He knows offense. He can help my quarterback. And that's why I put him as, like, my number 2. My number 3 is definitely like Jesse Minter. You know, the only thing that bothers me is that he does come from the Harbaugh tree. And I do mean he was under both Harbaughs, John and Jim. So he does know the organization of the Ravens really, really well. He knows the Harbaughs really well. So will he try to bring his own thing? Absolutely. But I am afraid that it's kind of the same old thing, just in different font.
I don't know that that's an awful thing, though, because they were successful for a time. I think you just need a new voice and a new perspective. And more than anything, I think them focusing on the defensive side of the ball and getting a strong OC can potentially offset a lot. And he knows how to talk to Lamar. They've talked in the past. They have a decent relationship already. And he went in saying, like, this is the best quarterback in the league. Like, I like the energy there, but I do think Saleh, and if we're, like, packaging in Daboll with him, that's probably the number 1. Because I think that is, like, the best OC hire you could make. I don't even think Daboll's like the best X's and O's guy, but you need Cam Ward to develop. You saw big flashes, and we'll get into a little bit of that later.
Absolutely.
So I really think getting a guy that you know can develop quarterbacks, like arguably one of the best in the league, it's probably like him, and if you want to give it to him, McCarthy are the best, like, and maybe Stefanski. No, McConnell.
Kevin McConnell. O'Connell.
Yeah, I was thinking a different Kevin. I think those are like the best QB developers that we have right now, just kind of looking at the track record. So bringing someone like that in for Cam Ward is a great idea. Saleh knows how to get a lot out of a
It's
little.
either a Kevin or a Kyle. Very interesting.
True.
But I will say, if Clint Kubiak does officially go to the Raiders, I think that's also going to be a great hire. I mean, grant you, Sam Darnold was doing great with O'Connell, but he took that offense from like 0 to like 100, and it was fantastic. I mean, Kenneth Walker looked like a beast. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba has, if anything, benefited more than anybody from having Clint Kubiak there. And I do think, he has ties in the NFL, and I think Brady kind of saw what he was doing. It's like, hey, I can help run this offense, stuff like that. And if you get Fernando Mendoza, you're going to need somebody strong to help him out. And I think as long as he brings a really strong DC with him to help out the defense, like Max Crosby makes him happy, and just kind of realize that, hey, your star on defense is Max. You got to make him happy. He's a bit of a psychopath. And
you can see it on the field, too. Like, he's a psychopath everywhere. So I think he makes up for it because that guy is a menace.
Oh, absolutely. I would have him. Just,
like in your pocket?
In a cage.
In a cage, like a wild animal.
During the season, make sure. But he actually seems to clean up his act.
I will say, before we go off of coaches, the last thing I'll say, the Joe Brady hire, I strongly dislike. And I think if you told me this without hearing kind of all of the context, I might have been more open to it. It's the guy that Josh knows. They have a good relationship. The offense has not been awful or anything like that. The problem is the owner came out and was like, yeah, we fired McDermott because of all this scar tissue and because of the 17-second game.
And then like all the emotions were so high in the locker room. Everybody was so sad.
I'll shout out Nick Wright specifically. He gave the best analogy that I can think of for this. He said,
by the way, we won't do that often.
No, I will not. I do like your takes, though, when you're not talking about the Chiefs. He said, basically, it's like you're in an apartment and you're like, there's too many memories. I need to move out because, like, my ex was here, yada, yada. So then you move across the hall. And you're still right there. That's what this hire feels like for me. If that's your reasoning, you've changed nothing. It's the same personnel. What's the difference?
The fact that he's also a first-time head coach, which I think elsewhere wouldn't be a problem.
No, but this is a team that needs to win yesterday. So you need a veteran guy in there, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. Like, I like the DC hire.
Yeah, DC hire was great.
But I don't love that hire at all. I really dislike the reasoning. I don't like that Josh was in all the meetings. I just think the management has really poorly handled the whole situation. Like, McDermott needed to go, and I agree with that. But their reasoning is awful, and they are handling it as poorly as you can.
But it also shows that McDermott, because let's be honest, before McDermott and Josh got there, the Bills were awful.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking awful. I remember them being a laughing stock, and even what's his damn name from the Disney station?
Rich Eisen?
No.
No.
He was a coach. His dad coached, his brother coaches. Crapola. Anyway, he coached the Jets. He coached the daggone Bills, and he was a great coach. He beat Brady for the AFC Championship game. Never made it to the Super Bowl, but he couldn't bring the Bills around. And so
the Bills are a team who their claim to fame prior to the Josh Allen McDermott era has been
90s.
Reaching a Super Bowl a bunch of times and never winning it.
And Jim Kelly.
And Jim Kelly. So, they've done wonderful things. I think the defense was really good with McDermott for a time. This was the worst. I think the defense has
so
looked
bad
by a lot. The secondary was good, but it didn't matter because you could just run 300 yards on them and it wouldn't be a big deal. So, but all in all, I just don't. Like I said, if you just told me this was the hire in a vacuum, I would have heard you out. But them doing it in the way that they have and shitting on people like left and right, they basically said that it was Josh Allen's fault that they made this hire. Like, I just think this whole situation is super toxic and they're not going about it well. And I hope that it doesn't explode because I'd love to see Josh Allen get his Super Bowl that he deserves. But it's kind of feeling like the thing's going to go down in flames next season and they're going to fire him and start over. And at that point, I'm pretty sure Josh Allen's 30 or above.
He's going to be in his 30s.
The window's going to start closing, I think the window is already starting to close, unfortunately.
He's too physical of a player to be like a Tom Brady where you can last that long. Two things before we move on. First, as of late, people hiring in-house has not worked out. Kevin Patullo, for example. He has been trash. Freddie Kitchens and the Browns, trash. There's a couple other ones that come to mind that I can't quite think off the top of my head. That could come to mind, I should say. So this in-house hire.
I will, but not to cut you off. One caveat, Brian Schottenheimer. That one was successful. So I'll give you one.
But he went away and came back.
Yeah, but he was an internal hire technically, and that was one that I thought would be awful, but hasn't.
It's not been great either, but we can talk about that. I think we need another year to see.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. So I don't see this happening based off trend alone. I think Joe could have been great, maybe elsewhere, because his offense is pretty good. He did well with what he had, which wasn't. It was honestly 2 baseball bats and
Yeah.
a lot of sticks, not even baseballs, sticks. They're hitting sticks. The other thing that comes to mind about like Josh and whatnot, like I said, he's a physical player. He's not going to last
hot.
us. Yeah. Hot family. Let's be honest here.
Facts. Big time facts.
Is that him? And there's so many good quarterbacks these days. It's going to be a shame that a lot of quarterbacks that are fantastic will never win a Super Bowl. It's you go back like to Terry Bradshaw's era. You can name Bradshaw, a couple other guys, but after that, you don't really know. Some guys who might have won, might not have won.
Yeah.
But now we're at a point in the sport where we have so many big names, whether it be, whether
Joe Burrow, Josh
Allen,
Lamar
Jackson,
obviously Patrick Mahomes,
Baker,
has gotten
even
his.
Baker Mayfield.
We've got a lot of guys that aren't going to get theirs. Honestly, Jared Goff even may.
Correct.
Like that window is not open forever, and he's getting older.
Yeah.
It sucks to see, but yeah, there's definitely guys
and
that aren't going to get there.
And if you think about it, Aaron Rodgers only got one.
Yeah.
And he's a great quarterback.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. Undeniably.
Sorry, that hurt me a little bit.
Say what you will about him in today's age, and I will. But he's a Hall of Famer. Definitively.
He's a Hall of Famer. But it's one of those things where we have such great quarterback play these days, but not enough time. And I think that's it's a part of the game. It's a part of what it is. But something that is kind of especially if it's your team, that's your guy. That's kind of sucks ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that perennial legend quarterback and not making it, and like failing them. Joe Burrow, I think, unfortunately, is going to go down.
It's going to be the big one.
It doesn't seem like the Bengals are changing course anytime soon.
No.
I don't think they're going to be a contender anytime soon. It doesn't seem like Burrow, if he even continues to play that much longer, is going to have another shot, and that sucks.
Yeah, no, and if he was to retire this year. But are you ready to maybe crack into our game?
I'm crack-a-lacking.
Wonderful. So we're going to play our game a little early today. It's called Nut, Bust, or Blues. Gentlemen, I'll let you figure that out. So we're going to take the the first round draft choices of this past year and say if they made us nut, made us bust, or gave us the blues.
You want to start from the bottom?
From the bottom. I sure would actually love to start at the bottom with pick number 32. Josh Simmons from the Ohio State University. He gave me the blues.
I have him as a bust-ish blue. And worth noting, this was a trade. I want to kind of point out the trade just for the first round. They traded down from 31 to 32 and also got the Eagles, I believe, 5th round pick.
Something like that.
Yeah, 5th round pick. Something kind of inconsequential. But yeah, Josh Simmons just didn't play that many games. He had a personal matter that took him away from some games. He came back, and then he got injured. While he was playing, he was a Pro Bowl offensive tackle, like a truly superb player. Unfortunately, he didn't play that much, and it's just hard to say looking at the limited tape that we have and like comparing that to the fact that he just didn't play that much. I have a hard time giving him the benefit of the doubt. There was a reason that he dropped as low as he did, and that's that people were worried he wouldn't be able to play with things like this, and it's kind of seeming like that is accurate.
So what I will say is that for me, he got blues just because he was playing at a great level, only allowing 2 sacks. He had 7 to 8 penalties, which is great. If you want to talk about like certain scores from certain places like PFF and whatnot, he had a 75.5 in pass blocking, but overall 62.7, which is not great. But the 75.5 a pass, which is big for that Kansas City team. I think we need one more year or maybe even 2, depending if he gets his shit together, to see if he's truly
for sure
a bust.
And worth noting, obviously, it's only been a year. All of these are subject to change. This is just kind of the outlook as of now, in our opinion. I don't think any of these guys are like, maybe one, are like absolutely throw them out. It's not worth developing or something. Especially, I would have historically said offensive tackles, I think, develop a lot slower and they have a lot more to learn. That wasn't really the case in this draft.
Oh,
for
my
a lot
God,
of them.
no.
Even Josh Simmons, when he was on the field, was phenomenal.
What we'd like to say, but really quick, because we did some of this research, by the way, is that we looked some of these these offensive linemen, especially the tackles, of course, were just fantastic.
Yeah, my God. This was a really good tackle draft, great tight end draft. All in all, the first round does not – like I had to kind of get a little nitpicky to even find a lot of busts here.
And so many of them started played in every game. A lot of them started in every game too.
Yeah, this was a really good first round. Obviously, the rest of the draft we're not talking too much about. There's some other notable players that maybe we'll talk about at the end. But jumping into the next one, Jihad Campbell for the Eagles, a linebacker, played all of the games, 80 tackles, 44 of them solo, an interception, 3 pass deflections. I nutted.
And a forced fumble, by the way.
And a forced fumble.
And I also nutted. He played in all 17, started 10. That's fantastic, especially on that Eagles defense, which is already stacked as it was.
Oh, yeah.
But he came in, definitely showed that he belongs in that defense, belongs into the Eagles organization, showed that toughness. And the Eagles organization really loves drafting SEC players, not, mostly Georgia guys, but, Alabama is great and all.
Yeah,
but he definitely made give me that nut, if you will.
They dip into the SEC a lot, but they draft so well. The Eagles, no matter what you want to say about them, they have one of the best GMs in football. Going to Maxwell Hairston, I have blue.
As do I. He gave me the blues.
This was a pretty good secondary, not a superb one. He didn't play every game. I'm not even going to read off all the stats. They were solid, but he didn't play every game, and he didn't look superb when he did. But I think that's partially just a problem of not playing as many games. It's kind of hard with corners to super grade them off of like a limited sample size. So I don't think he's a bust or anything, but I was not beyond impressed or anything. So we'll kind of see.
I think also because they had to rely on him so much because how awful this defense
True.
was. He wasn't really able to get that time to develop as some of these other players I got a chance to, or at least get with a mentor, somebody who could actually help him develop into somebody who can be better. I think give him a little more time, maybe with a new DC, a little better upgrades at defense. He has a chance to go to the nut category, but for now he's definitely in the blue. Moving on, though, the number 29, Josh Connerly Jr. from the Big Ten School of Oregon. He gave me the blues.
He gave me the blues as well. This was a pickup by the Commanders, an offensive tackle. He really showed some flashes at times, especially later in the season. The stats don't really show it, but the tape does. He really looked elite as we kind of ended things out, but it took him a little bit to get going. Again, I kind of give a little bit more leeway to tackles and guards and things like that on the O-line because it's a big step up from the college game to the NFL. So I'm not going to hold that first leg that much against him, especially with a pretty turbulent Commander season. I think the outlook's pretty good, but I'm not ready to just immediately say he's great off of what we did see because it was up and down.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was
6'7".
I wonder if he is 6'7". I didn't even look that up.
I had some other heights, but I didn't write them down.
But what I will say is, we're coming from that Washington team last year. That was such a mess. I think if they're able to right the ship this coming year, we can definitely see if he's more in that nut or bust category instead of giving us the blues.
Blue ball. Then we have Tyleek Williams, Ohio State, pick
The.
number 28, defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. He gave me the blues.
He gave me the blues as well. 18 total tackles, 2.5 sacks. He didn't get to play a whole ton, but he showed flashes, if you will. I think also when you have a guy like Aiden Hutchinson and some other guys on that defense, it's a little hard to stand out.
True.
But
I
there's room for improvement.
Yeah, there's absolutely room for improvement. This is not really a one way or the other. Smaller sample size by a little bit. Not superb on the field, but also he got a little banged up because that's what the Lions do to their defense.
Oh, my God.
We'll kind of see. I don't think he blew me away first year, but he seemed solid enough.
Real quick, Dan. Stop
full padding your practices.
I look, man.
If you want to make the Super Bowl, you can't kill your players
we
every week.
We appreciate it. We truly do because it gives us great football, great culture. But man, we want to see you win. We are rooting for you. We're rooting for you that hard.
We really are. It's so sad to keep seeing this defense get just like war injuries, like broken legs, destroyed collarbones, like snapping. Like, it's insane. Stop beating the fuck out of these people and let them play football.
Absolutely. But that leads us to one of our second nut, for me anyway, going to choice number Malachi Starks from Georgia to the Ravens. Gave me a nut.
Nut. I think Malachi Starks is sneaky one of the best picks of this first round. He facilitated, in my opinion, Kyle Hamilton being able to shift around a bit by being so strong at the position. Safety, by the way. And he was really strong. It took him a little bit to get going once again. Kind of the nature of it, especially when that defense was really questionable starting the year. And I think once he hit his stride, he looked much stronger, looked like a very good asset moving into the future. I think this was a great pickup. Absolute nut for me. I think he's going to be like a pillar of this defense moving forward.
I think he's going to have to be. I mean, 17 games played, 15 starts, 84 total tackles, 4 passes defended, and as a rookie getting 2 interceptions is actually pretty big.
Yeah, so I mean, the tackles are a little misleading as a safety in my opinion, because that generally means like you didn't stop the ball. But you have the 2 interceptions in there. You have 4 deflected passes. Like, he looked really good.
Now,
on
grant
tape,
you,
and he did a good job.
I didn't look at all the tape of this guy, but I mean, if he's coming out from the secondary, going into the front lines, and taking out some short passes, I mean, getting all those tackles, I don't think that's a bad thing, And you're stopping the ball from going inside the end zone. If you want to look at it that way, I think you look at it that way.
No, absolutely. Like, tackles are not a bad thing. It's one of those stats that can be really misleading if you're just straight up looking at the box score. Like, if you have 1,000 tackles and nothing else, why didn't you ever stop them from like passing? Why didn't you ever like get a tackle for loss? Like, it's kind of a misleading, just big number. So, but I'm not saying that to diminish him or anybody else. It's just something that I do think about. But I thought he was really, really good as a rookie, and I can't wait to see what more comes from him. Let's go Ravens.
Speaking of the Birds, going to the Falcons, James Pierce Jr. out of the University of Tennessee, the edge player, he gave me a big fucking nut.
He did make me nut as well, and I will note he was a draft trade. The Atlanta Falcons traded their what did they get? They traded a second-round 7th and their next year's first to the Rams for this pick. I don't really want to get super into, like, should they have made this draft versus others, yada, yada. I do want to kind of think about, like, the long-lasting effects. Like, was this a good trade to make? I think James Pierce Jr. was really, really good. Like, an absolute not a great player. Was he worth the amount that they traded for him, especially with the year that they had? I'd say probably not quite that. Mostly because of that first-round pick being more valuable than I think they...
Do you know how many sacks he had?
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he had 10 and a half, which is
fantastic for a rookie.
Really fucking good.
And he led all rookies, fun fact.
Really good, but I think if they'd known, which you can't, that their season would go the way that it did and their pick would be as valuable as it has ended up being, maybe, like, in hindsight, it's a little bit of a rough pick. But was he worth the pickup? Obviously. Like, he's been fantastic. I think they drafted incredibly well in this round especially. This is a great player. He is going to be a huge piece of this defense into the future, obviously. So, a great player. I do think that they're maybe biting themselves a little bit about trading away that pick, but, hindsight's 2020.
They might be, and like I said, hindsight's 2020, but I think, okay, you dealt the cards, new management, you wipe the slate clean, Stefanski, GM, all that. Now, they can make this one of their guys. This is somebody who can come in on defense, becomes the leader of the locker room and on the field. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
He's going to be here for years to come. James Pierce Jr. was a great pickup. Honestly, so good that it made some of their other rookies not look as good.
Not even close. Especially their earlier pick. We'll get into that later.
And then after that is Jackson Dart from Ole Miss to the New York Giants, a quarterback. This was also a draft trade. The Giants traded with the Texans. Texans got a 5th rounder what did the Texans get? The Texans got a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 3rd next year for giving up their 1st, and they got Jackson Dart. I have him as blue.
I also have him giving me the Blues. I think he could become more of the nut, or he could become one of the bus. He is on the line. He is living on the edge.
Whoa. I think the problem with Dart, we saw some flashes of like next level quarterback play. We saw some games where he looked like the second coming of Jesus H. Christ himself and looked incredible. And then he had games where he looked truly awful. This was a super up and down year for them. So I'm not going to hold all of the games against him entirely. I do think you have to consider the situation.
And
he had his number one receiver murdered on the field, basically. His running back died right next to him. But at the same time, that he can't play the way that he has been.
This
can't
isn't
keep
college,
running.
buddy.
It's not college. Like, obviously, he can keep running. He can't keep running like he did when he really looked great. So the arm talent needs to be a bit better than it was this year. So it kind of leaves this middle ground where I just don't know how he'll perform when you can't play the way that you want to. You have to be a little bit more conservative.
So what I will say, though, he had some really good numbers, good ratios, 15 tuds, passing tuds to 5 interceptions, also adding on their 9 rushing touchdowns, almost 500 yards rushing, over 2,000 yards passing. And if you look on paper, as a rookie who only started 12 of the 14 games that he played, that's not too bad.
No.
On paper, it looks great, but when you see the
He
tape,
should have paid rent for that blue tent. He was in it so much. Like,
yes.
I just worry about the long term with him. I will say, as far as the pick and the trade, you got to fucking steal. Like, getting this guy at 25 and the trades that they made to get this pick, like, easy slam dunk. This is arguably a franchise quarterback. No matter how he ends up, he has turned that locker room around. He, like, united New York. He is a great personality. It's going to take some time to see how he develops and if his game will translate well to the NFL or not.
Agreed, but I also think that having someone like Harbaugh who has done this before is going to be hopefully beneficial for the man.
And then I'll bring us to Donovan Jackson of Ohio State fame, the
Thank
Ohio
you.
State. An
I'm just
offensive
gonna correct him
guard.
every
He went
time.
to the Vikings. I have him as blue with a caveat. I learned a fact about him. He was playing with a broken wrist since week 3.
Which, how about this? For his toughness, he gets a nut.
Yeah, honestly, considering that he was my problems with him were kind of generally that the line was pretty bad. He didn't really stand out as like the worst piece of that. He was fairly solid, but the line in general was pretty bad this year. But playing with a broken wrist, and from week 3 on is what I found out. That's insane.
Which I did not
for
know
a
about that,
rookie.
by the way.
Yeah, I found that out because I think the DC or someone kind of let it slip on accident. He broke his wrist and was playing with an arm cast for the majority of the season. That's nuts. This is a rookie. That alone kind of bumps him up for, like, if we look at the game, it's blue. If we consider, like, that situation, it bumps up to a nut for me because I feel like the ceiling is endless. If you're playing as well as he did in bad, like, circumstances, then, like, my God, he's going to be so good at full health in theory.
In theory. So for me, he is definitely blue, just because you have to. Yes, he definitely, for toughness, gets that nut. He is somebody who will probably be that nut eventually. And honestly, he only allowed 2 sacks, which is fantastic. But if you're looking at the full body of the entire team, which you have to take that into account for a lot of this, is that it's blue. He. Now, grant you, some of that could also just been McCarthy being McCarthy.
Very true. The line was questionable kind of across the board. That was a problem for the Vikings last year as well. I do think his power game is not great, but I think you can attribute a decent amount of that to the wrist. So I don't want to hold that too high against him.
His pass blocking, if you're looking at that grade, is 65.7, which is fantastic. However, because of the run blocking, it's a 57.2, which brought him down to a 59.4 overall grade.
Yeah, but I think if you're the Vikings, you're really happy about the tenacity of this guy. Like, that is so crazy impressive for first year out, week 3. This isn't even like a deep into the season. This is week 3, breaks the wrist and continues going. I mean, obviously, I didn't see the X-ray. I don't know how much truth is there. I don't know why he'd lie though. So
We are not
that's crazy.
doctors either, so we would look at him like, oh yeah, that looks broken.
Yeah, it
I
looks
think
broken to me, big dog. You should probably not play a football touch sport. Physical contact sport.
absolutely. But that brings us to the 23rd pick of the NFL draft, Matthew Golden from Texas, who
This
gets
one makes me sad.
some blues, but that might not totally be his fault.
I also have him blue. Jackson Dart, or not Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, pick number 23. The first time that the Green Bay Packers have drafted a wide receiver in the first round since some year that I don't care about. But you wouldn't know it if you saw them play this year because they forgot about it until like the last game of the season.
I
and
think
the
it was
playoffs.
because he didn't have a Guardian cap on.
Probably. Romeo Dobbs, go fuck yourself. I had Matthew Golden in fantasy. I was following him very closely because I actually thought this was an incredible pickup. His speed is phenomenal. His hands are top tier. They just didn't use him for some reason. And legitimately, I can't figure out why. It just felt like they didn't wanna. And once they started to, he looked really good. So I think this is going to be a nut in the future. But as far as the usage this year, his numbers are abysmal. He really did not see like that many games. He also was injured. He had that shoulder injury for a few games.
Also,
So
I believe Dobbs is a free agent, so that
he
might be
is.
helpful.
Get the fuck out of Green Bay. Let Matthew Golden shine.
So here's the thing: he's not going to draft Matthew Golden ever again in fantasy.
No, I'm not. But
which,
I might
by
pick
the
him
way,
up in
folks, we're going
waivers.
to try to do a fantasy show, so watch out for that. We should maybe just do our draft picks in front of everybody while we scream at each
I
other.
kind of fucks with that. We'll see.
I'll
I
have
fucks with
I'll
that.
have to throw the mic across the room as much as I'm screaming, going like, "No, you motherfucker!"
Yeah, that sounds
Like
about
that.
right. But yeah, I think Matthew Golden, like if you drafted him, you're probably feeling pretty good about it by the end of the year. But if you look at the numbers, obviously this is a bust. It does not look good. I just
But
think
he's
you have
blue.
to kind of consider the situation more. So yeah, definitely blue for me with a very positive outlook, which is kind of similar to the next guy, Amarian Hampton, out of North Carolina, running back for the Chargers. I also have him as blue. He's kind of bust adjacent, but that's mostly due to injury.
So actually, I have him as a nut.
Interesting.
So here's the thing. Yes, he was hurt and everything, but and I'm not going to look at the stats. Looking at the tape, looking at what they didn't have, helping any of them, they didn't have a fucking offensive line, the Chargers.
True.
And the man, when he was running, he ran hard. He ran like a demon. He had speed. He had power. And when you put, what's his damn name? From the formerly
Connie Vidal?
no. From the Dolphins went to be the OC.
Oh, Mike McDaniel?
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
We put Mike McDaniel there. I think Hampton is going to explode, and I think he was a great compliment to Justin. I think without him and some of the other guys like Vidal and whatnot, Justin would have been dead. I mean, on the floor, we would have been having a funeral for him.
True. I don't want to downplay what Amarian Hampton did on the field. I think the tape looks pretty good. It's just hard with the sample size we got because he was injured so much of the year. They weren't using him fully even before that. So it's kind of hard to say at this point. Vidal looked pretty good despite the line. The line was a huge problem for the Chargers, ginormous. So with a healthy line, I think running backs can thrive a lot more, and we'll kind of see. I don't think this is like a bad pick by any means, but it is someone that I'm not 100% on yet.
I am about 80%, about 80%. Because like all running backs, they could have one great year, but then all of a sudden they fall off the next year. I mean,
Yeah, and the type of game that he plays, it is very much that power back like style, and that tends to, if you're not Derrick Henry, last a little less time.
I'm looking
lately.
at you, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, it just doesn't last as long anymore. You either need somebody that is like a little shiftier or can kind of do both. It is the trend as of late, or you double up. And they do have Vidal, so they can double up. So we'll kind of see the usage,
But if you
I
have
think it looked good.
but if you have two great running backs in Vidal and in Amarian, the sky is the limit. And
Absolutely.
a lot of the most successful teams, I mean, you look at Seattle, yes, they're missing Charbonnet, but they got through their year with Charbonnet and Walker.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the Patriots.
Look at the Patriots. They were doing Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson as a bit of a flip-off. Look at the Bears. It's probably the best example with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Manungai. Last year, not really this year, the Lions with their 1-2 Sonic Knuckles punch. Like, we've seen the duo backfield work really, really well. And I do think that they're kind of perfectly poised for that with the two backs that they have.
Absolutely. And I think that's really going to help Justin Herbert in the future. I think we're going to see some great scheming come from these two coaches on the offensive side of the ball. And honestly, Jim Harbaugh loves to run the ball. He fucking loves running the goddamn ball. And he loves Justin Herbert. I mean, he literally on him all the time.
Half man, half monster.
Yes. Picasso.
A Picasso.
Picasso.
What was the other one? Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah. Like, just glazing this man up, but rightfully so, right?
Honestly, I mean, unless he plays bad in the playoffs again. But that'll bring me to the next one. That'll be pick number 21, Derek Harmon out of Oregon, a defensive tackle to the Steelers. I have as blue.
Gave me the blues.
I just thought he was fine. He was kind of like the typical Steelers pick. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, defense, per usual. Steelers with Mike McCarthy, you're going to... Hey, Steelers fan, with Mike McCarthy, you might
offensive
draft somebody offensively. You
Maybe
might
even,
pay somebody who's on offense.
Maybe even a quarterback?
A quarterback, maybe even a... I mean, here's the thing. Steelers are known for developing really good wide receivers.
True. I mean, we saw DK Metcalf looked pretty good this year, honestly. Down the stretch, I mean, outside of the couple of games he was out.
You also might get a fucking running back.
But yeah, I thought Derek Harmon, he was a little bit of a difference maker when he was out there. He really helped in the run game, but he just wasn't like super explosive, super great. I didn't really see anything that made me think like, wow, this guy's gonna get so good later on. I just thought he was fine.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. Nothing great, nothing special, and good on him being on a team that made it just above 500 and got to the playoffs.
That's for you. That kiss I just blew, it's for you.
Whoever you may be.
You know who you are. Mom. Continuing on.
The fuck it is.
That'll, unless you have anything else you want to say about
Nope,
a
I have
Steelers
nothing
player.
else
I
to
really
say.
didn't have much to say about this guy. I can read off the stats, but like, I don't think it tells the full story. I just thought he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine. I didn't hate
Jahdae
him.
Barron is the next pick. That's going to be a cornerback out of Texas. Pick number 20 for the Broncos. I also put blue.
I have him as a nut.
Interesting. Tell me more.
I will in a moment here. I got to take a quick
Okay, well then I will look at it.
Thank you.
For me, I don't really have like a problem with him. It was a semi-small sample size. He only started 5 games. He looked pretty good in those 5 games. But with that small of a sample size, I'm just not confident really giving him one way or the other. This is a really stacked defense, so it's kind of hard to shine if you're not like Patrick Surtain. So
Right, and I think he's a great compliment to Patrick Surtain. I think he had some standout moments in a very stout defense for the most part, which is why he kind of gave him that nut for me. He definitely cracked into the tackles, getting 35 total. 1 interception, 5 pass deflections for 17 games. He only started 5 of them, but he was in all 17 games. He made an impact. They got to the AFC Championship game, and that's why he still stood out in this defense that was fantastic overall. I know down the stretch we had our problems with it, but that's why that's why he gets a nut for me.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Moving on to the next one. This is a little bit more of a complicated one for me. I have Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, the Ohio State.
He will get the Ohio State University eventually, folks. Our Buckeyes out there. I'll correct him.
Wide receiver, of course, in the Rookie of the Year contention.
Shout out to
number
Brian
19 for the
Hartline.
Buccaneers. I have him as a blue because he did look simply superb when he did. And then he just kind of wasn't used for a bit of the year, and then Baker wasn't really feeling himself all the way, and the offense kind of fell apart. So I'm not ready to just, like, when he was good, he was the best player in football. There was a couple week stretch where he was, like, the definitive wide receiver 1. Excuse me. But because once things started to clamp down on him, he looked significantly worse, and I'm not really going to give him the full blame by any means of Baker, like, not performing as well with that shoulder injury. But once people started clamping down on him, he did not look as good, and that's kind of the problem that I have that brings me down to blue. I think he is phenomenal when he's good. It's just I kind of need a second to see some more samples. He was also injured for a little bit as well, so that takes down like the sample size a little bit. But it just kind of put me into a middle ground where I was not super happy giving him the fabled nut.
So here's the thing, So, by the way, the bubbly was giving you the bubbles, it seems.
Burp.
I started off as blue with Emeka Ibuka, and that pained me. And I'm trying to be very unbiased as a Texans fan, as an Ohio State fan, as
a Browns
as
fan.
a Browns sympathizer. I need to make that a fucking shirt, actually. Browns sympathizer. Honestly,
yeah, it goes hard. I think you should.
I mean, Browns fans, let me know.
Idea.
Put it in the comment section. What do you think?
We're
Browns
sympathizer.
sympathizer.
About koozies, maybe some Browns merch.
Duct tape koozies, everybody. That might be one of our things that says cracking a cold one, a marker, probably red or blue. I started off as a blue for this man. I really did, and that pained me. And after I looked at the stats, let me tell you this, man. He had almost 1,000 yards. He had 6 tutties, 13 starts, 17 games, with a team that was falling apart, literally. And I don't mean just Baker in the offense. I mean the defense was awful. Baker was trying his best, doing what he could, and Ibuka, as a rookie, was doing what he could. When he became like pretty much wide receiver 1, he was getting double teamed. It was a mess. He just did what he could as a rook, which is why he got the nut from me.
I'm okay with that. I would have liked to give him a nut. That was one of the harder ones for me, but I landed on blue, and I feel really good about him into the future. I just kind of want to see a little more. After that,
I respect it.
We got Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, offensive guard for the Seahawks at pick number 18. I got a nut.
I also have the fabled nut.
17 games played, 2 sacks allowed, looked great on the line. That line has been super solid all year. The problem has not really been sacks for a lot of the year. Usually when Darnold's turning over the ball, it's either like a crazy pass rush by teams that just are known for that, or it's like a bad interception or an ugly fumble. Like, it hasn't really been a sack problem, and Gray Zabel has pretty much instantly jumped in and just been great. Like, I thought he was great on tape. That line in general has been super solid, and he is just a great piece. Honestly, I think he's the franchise player off rip.
I mean, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, that's fantastic, especially for a guy like Darnold, who's known for turning over the ball, who's kind of become that gunslinger. I mean, here, real quick, I think part of the issue with Darnold is that he wasn't known as a gunslinger. He was just kind of like, oh, he's a guy, he's a system, blah, 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 blah. But once you say that Sam Darnold is a gunslinger, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
I think it's not just the interceptions, it's the fumbles. Like, the fact that he led in turnovers is the bigger problem than if he led in interceptions. I would be like, okay, he's just gunslinging. The fumbles worry me a lot. Like, that's kind of the thing I keep pointing to and feeling like I don't like that about Darnold, is that he's fumbling so often. And part of that is center play, because some of these snaps have been
so fucking bad
for him. So I don't want to put it all on him, but it's been a problem with him with the Vikings too.
Let me say this. I mean, the man Zabel here only allowed 5 penalties, which for a rookie, fantastic. Discipline. His grade wouldn't show you at 57.3 or whatever it is, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? He's playing on a team that has a turnover-heavy quarterback that runs the ball very well. And the fact that he has done his best, he has played 99% of the total snaps of the entire season.
Incredible.
He gets the nut.
Yeah, he's like one of my stronger picks out of the entire first round, honestly. And that'll bring us to
our first bust.
Is it my first bust?
It's my first bust.
Someone else?
It was my first bust.
Yeah, I busted Josh Simmons, but that was a little questionable of a bust. This is the most definitive bust for me.
Yeah. Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M, edge rusher for the Cincinnati Bungles.
My God. Limited snaps, to be fair.
Real quick. Go fuck yourself, man. You made all this big stink in the fucking preseason about not getting a contract, want to get more money. You didn't deserve a fucking dime of it, you motherfucker. I mean, you
so bad.
You were bad, bro. And I want you to be good. I want you to help save Joe Burrow's career. But, dude, Get your head
takeaways
out of your
says it
ass.
all. I didn't even write down the numbers for
No,
him. 'Cause
you
they
don't
look
deserve
really
it.
Bad. He is the one player out of this first round where I was like, I don't know if this is a player you keep on.
Definitive bust for me.
This is like maybe a release player for me. This is not a starter. He looked really bad through the vast majority of the year. A couple of bright spots. Granted, the whole defense is pretty bad, but you have Trey Hendrickson on the other side looking just truly so much better. I think Shamar Stewart is like probably the worst pick out of the first 32. And again, this first 32 is really strong. I was surprised looking through the film and kind of really considering it.
This is probably one of the stronger drafts we've had in a while. And then granted, you don't get a lot of quarterbacks. You have a lot of skill players, and a lot of drafts seem to be defined by quarterbacks. And I don't really like that, especially as I've gotten older and everything. But we look at the numbers, like, this is a fairly strong draft
really
class.
Good draft class. And Shamar Stewart's really the only one I can point to is, like, this was a bad pickup.
Yes.
This was a player that you should not have picked up. Even looking at the next edge off the board, James Pierce Jr., like, my God, he performed so much better. So Shamar Stewart is an absolute bust. We'll see if he develops into the future. I don't really see a reason that he would based off the Bengals formula of not changing anything and running it back. But as of now, this is like an arguable release player and like try again for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to say any more about him. He doesn't. Look, man. If you become great next year and you have turned it around like a full 180,
good for you.
I will give you your props. I'll give you your roses. But for now, I don't want to talk about you. I'm done with you. Well, who's on to pick number 16?
Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, a defensive tackle for the Cardinals. This one is a lot tougher because he was injured through a majority of the year. He had a season-ending injury,
ACL.
One of a couple of really bad season-ending injuries.
And that whole team was just a clusterfuck.
Yeah, but I did give him a nut. I think for the games that we saw, he looked really good. A couple of sacks, a lot of pressures, some decent tackles. Like, the film on him looks really good, but it's so hard to super evaluate just because of the limited sample size. So it would have been more fair to just kind of give him a blue because we didn't see it.
And that's what I did. Is I gave him the blue. I was like, hey, I need to see more of you. And your team was hot ass. I hopefully with the new coach they're getting, who I can't remember his name to be honest with you. I know we just said it like
LaFleur.
30. Oh, Mike LaFleur, not Matt. Mike. So I'm sorry, Mike. I think next year if it comes back and he's 80 to 90% of what he was, it'll be great. Yeah. But for now, he gets a blue from me, and
we'll see. I gave him a nut kind of on faith because I liked what I saw, but it's hard with the amount of that we saw. That'll bring us to Jalen Walker. We are at number 15 out of Georgia. This is the
Georgia Bulldog
player. This is a linebacker. I did give him a nut, but this one was tougher because people like James Pierce Jr. really shined, and it made Jalen Walker not look as good on the stat sheet. But I think the film showed that he is very good.
I say he's a blue, and for a couple reasons. One, your other rookie does, in my opinion, better. It's really hard to give you that. You now have a different expectation. Your ceiling is raised. You have something. Same draft class, linebacker and edge. Yes, two different positions. Don't get me wrong, but you're both on defense, and you have a defensive player who is just on paper on the stats leaps better. It's going to be a blue for me. Plus, again, they didn't win very many games.
True, but the defense sometimes was really good.
Sometimes, yes, I won't deny that.
He was battling with a Rookie Player of the Year candidate. I don't want to I really liked what I saw from Jalen Walker, and I think this is a great pickup. I do feel like looking at the trade that they made later, you would have been better off just taking James Pierce Jr. and maybe trying to see if you can get Jalen Walker later down. That's again 2020. But I liked what I saw enough that I did give him the nut, and I hope he licks it up. That'll bring us to Tyler Warren, who I think is one of the easier ones to evaluate on here. Number 14.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Nut.
This is number 14 out of Penn State, tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, he was really, really good. The only thing that stopped him from having like a Brock Bowers season was that the whole offense fell apart.
I mean,
that happens when your quarterback dies.
76 yards, 76 receptions, 117 yards, 10.8 yards per catch, 4 tuds. Yeah, tuds, maybe not the greatest, but you're a rookie and you're a tight end. Fantastic.
And they just got him like to work any way they could. He was low-key a gadget player. Like Tyler Warren looked phenomenal this year. He was a big part of that.
He was willing to do whatever he could to get that team to win.
I think you are ecstatic with that tight end pickup. I legitimately think he would have had a Brock Bowers level season if not for the unfortunate Daniel Jones injury.
Yeah, and maybe if good old Phillip Rivers could have chucked it more than 10 yards.
Yeah,
but
I love Phillip Rivers, but his, he wasn't
neck
really
down,
chucking it.
Neck down.
He was thinking it, and that just didn't really translate on the stat sheet.
But real quick, Phillip Rivers for QB coach somewhere. I know we've talked about that outside of this.
For the Bills.
For the Bills or the Titans.
I'd love it for the Titans, honestly. Cam Ward would probably jump for joy.
Or, hear me out, C.J. Stroud and the Texans.
I wish. He won't.
Anyway.
That'll bring us to Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, defensive tackle number 13 for the Dolphins. I have him as blue, mostly because he closed out looking pretty good, but he looked pretty bad for the first half of the season.
Really bad. So for me, he's a bust. Could he get more in that blue and nut range? Absolutely. 24 total tackles with a grade of only 48.4. That's really fucking bad.
He looked awful at the start of the year. This was like an obvious worst player in the draft at the start. He ended out in the last stretch looking very good. The Dolphins were kind of turning it around, and the momentum was a lot better for them. I'll give some of it to just rookie inexperience and then a little bit more to the tumultuousness that was the Dolphins locker room through that time. I think by the end of the season, the film looked good enough that I'll give him a little bit more of a brighter outlook, but this was one that was pretty close to a bust for me.
Yeah, no, it's a bust for me. But again, it's not like Shamar Stewart, which is the ultimate on this first round bust. But if you're good, I would like to move to pick number 12.
Another Tyler.
Tyler Booker from the University of Alabama, offensive guard to the Dallas Cowboys. It is a nut, but blue, so maybe a milky nut?
Delicious. I have him as a nut. I do think this is kind of on the cusp because I don't think he was top tier. His pass blocking, not phenomenal. His run blocking, despite what the PFF grades will tell you, it is very obvious in the film that he looked really good on the run. He has incredible chemistry with the team. You can see that in the behind the scenes and the TikToks and stuff. So I think this is a great player into the future. This year, there were some ups and downs, but this is an offensive line position. I give a little bit more of that. So I liked him a lot. I think this is a potentially long-lasting player for them on the line.
I think so, and I think he has to go against a lot of other rookie offensive line talent.
For sure. This was such a strong O-line draft.
I think any other year he could have been a pure nut, but again, milky nut, bluish nut. He was still a nut for me, just the lower end of the nut. 14 games was played. He only had 3 sacks allowed, which is fantastic. Only 6 penalties. His grade was fantastic, 76.8 on blocking.
Yeah.
So. It's just, like I said, there's a lot of other talent he had to go against.
For sure. But he's in the Tyler Colt now. I think he's a mainstay for this team. I don't see him going anywhere or anything. And I did like what I saw. That will bring me to another one of my busts.
Ooh, not
Mikael
mine.
Williams out of Georgia, number 11 for the
Mikael
Niners.
or Michael?
I don't know. I'm going to say Mikael.
I'll say Michael. And then if he comes and corrects us in the comments, then we'll do whatever you want to do, man.
Hey, what's going on, man? That is a bust for me. I will caveat that with some limited production, but this was a defense that Saleh really got the most out of, and I don't think he looked great most of the snaps that he got. He just looked okay.
I mean, yeah, 20 total tackles, 11 of them were solo. He only had 1 sack, but the man also tore his ACL.
Yeah, so, it's tough. He put it all on the line. That's why I did want to put it on limited production. This is not like a slam dunk bust for me, but this is one where I was like, I didn't love what I saw. So
you know what's going to be great, by the way, is enough people watch this are going to the comments and be like, you guys have double standards. You all have this and that. That's why it's called an opinion, guys.
I don't pretend to know anything. We start out the podcast by saying we don't know anything. And I'm going to be honest, I probably go back on my opinions every other day. But, as of now, I'm not too hot on Williams.
Mikael.
But that'll bring us to someone I'm super hot on.
Oh,
Colson
same.
Loveland.
Colson from the
Michigan.
state.
The state of Michigan. Tight end for the Bears. Big nut for me. I will absolutely give you that he did not have a lot of production in the start of the season, so the overall season stats are not great. But by the end of the season, my God,
Okay.
he carried some moments for this team. A very magic riding team. The play where he bounced off a tackle and got 40 yards for a touchdown. There was a crazy touchdown grab in the end zone, I believe. He looked so good when they started using him. And I think he has a super bright future with the Bears. Honestly.
I think it's just going to take. It took Ben Johnson kind of figuring it out. Yeah, he had one really good tight end in San Laporta in Detroit. I don't remember Tesla or whatever.
Tesla's a wide receiver. He just looks like a tight end.
Yeah, so he had to figure out the two tight end game. Once he did, Komet and fucking Loveland were fantastic. Which leads me to this. For me, super nut. I think him and the quarterback,
Caleb Williams.
thank you, are going to be great for a very long time. 58 receptions, 713 yards, 6 touchdowns, 12.3 yards per catch, by the way, with a 71.6% catch rate. He led the team in receiving yards, which at 713 yards isn't great. But there were so many weapons on that team.
Yeah,
and
they spread the
it was
ball
well-rounded.
Because they have just a stacked receiver room. But I do think Colston Loveland looked fantastic. Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, offensive tackle number 9 for the Saints.
Another kind of surprise for me after looking at the numbers, because again, the Saints were the Saints, but again, Kellen Moore got them up to speed later into the year.
Yeah, I think this is a big franchise tackle for me. An absolute nut. I thought he looked phenomenal.
Big nut.
I mean, the problem for that team was not really sacks, and even when it was usually because of someone holding the ball too long, because you had that rookie turnover at quarterback and some issues going on there. But I thought Kelvin Banks is arguably one of the best tackles out of this first round, and he looked top tier.
It was a great pickup. It's going to be great for Tyler Shuck, whatever his fucking name is.
Shuck.
In the future, if they keep him or another quarterback and they can build more of the line around him. The man he played all 17. He started all 17 games as a rookie. He had the highest grade of all rookies at 73.3 percent. He only allowed 5 sacks, 46 total pressures. He had 9 penalties, so penalties were a bit big. But again, you play on the Saints. Everybody is better than you essentially, and you're trying to protect your guy. Yes.
I'll give him a lot of leeway for the situation, and Kelvin Banks looked really good in that situation. So I think the sky is the limit with him. Kind of like the next guy, Teteroa McMillan.
Kraken into the top 8.
Hell yeah. That's number 8 for the Panthers, a wide receiver. Huge nut for me.
Oh, my God,
this is probably the Rookie of the Year front runner right now. Obviously not a ton of usage at the start of the season, but once they started to, I mean, a huge difference maker. Probably the best wide receiver out of this round without a ton of argument that I'm willing to listen to.
Agreed. And, it's kind of once they figure out how Ben Johnson figured out Colston Loveland. Once I think his name's Dave. I can't.
Dave Canales.
Thank you. I usually remember this shit. Everybody. I just sometimes don't.
He's drunk. Okay.
I am actually not drunk.
He's so drunk right now. Oh my God.
My girl is dead.
But yeah, I thought the Ted offensive was cracked. He is a difference maker. I don't think this team makes it to the playoffs without Teteroa McMillan, and that's not something I'll say for a lot of these players.
I think the question is, can he be better with a different quarterback in the future, or is he the same? However, started all 17 games, 70 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 7 tuds, 14.5 yards per catch, and my favorite stat, and I don't know, I mean, because I'm an old man maybe now, I'm not really old, but he accounted for 55 first downs.
That's a big thing.
That's huge.
That's your guy,
that's your Keenan Allen.
I really do like Teteroa McMillan. I think he's arguably one of the best picks out of this draft. The sky is the limit. I thought he was phenomenal this year once they started really putting him to work, and I'm excited to see what more comes from him, honestly.
Which leads to number 7 for the Jets, and surprising because it's the Jets. Armand Membo
out of Missouri
was a nut.
A huge nut for me.
Big nut.
I honestly think he might be the best player out of this first round, which is insane. for the Jets. What a tackle.
Oh.
Like, his stats don't really show it because that offense is a mess, and Justin Fields was holding the balls for, like, holding both balls for, like, 20 minutes. But
pause for one moment. I would like to see the stats with Armand between Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. I want to see. Not right now, of course, but this kind of came to my head. I want to speak it to the
Looking
world.
at the film, Armand Membo is the easiest franchise tackle I've ever seen. I think this player is phenomenal. You don't come into the league and look this good at tackle very often, and he really did. He shut down so much. He didn't really even have a ton of, like, welcome to the NFL moments. There was a couple, but they had a pretty difficult schedule. The whole team was a mess, and Justin Fields held the ball for so long. Like, considering the situation at all, I think this is a, like, generational player, low-key.
Yeah. I mean, yes, he allowed 8 sacks, but again, a lot of ball holding. He was penalized 11 times.
Don't love the penalties.
But again, this is the situation. However, he started another rookie that started all 17 games, and his grade was 72.7. Fantastic. I mean, again, it showed my bias, right? Solid Jets, like, automatically a fucking bust or a blue. Stat-wise, like, oh, hold on. This guy's a nut. Like a pretty big nut. He
was the one that made me start going back and watching more film, because I looked at him and I was like, lines seem pretty good for the most part, and I put him at blue, and then I was like, let me actually do any research at all, and I started looking back at it and was like, no, he's crazy. Like, that is a phenomenal tackle.
Yeah, and you know who could also use a tackle is the fucking Raiders with Ashton Genty from Boise State going number 6 overall. I think you and I have a bit of a, not a disagreement, but a difference of opinion.
I have him as a nut-ish. I think considering the situation, considering...
A milky nut.
A milky nut. I think considering the lack of any O-line at all... When you look at the numbers, not incredible, but all of his yards were after contact. He was 5th in the league for making people miss, which was kind of a weird stat. But the other people on the list are all like Bijan Robinson. You know, like they're top-tier running backs. And I feel like what we saw of Genty, he looked really, really good. Once they got him into the passing game a little more, even better. I think this is a running back that, like, could be the number 1 down the line. He was just held back by, like, one of the worst offenses and one of the worst offensive lines in football this year.
Chip Kelly, go fuck yourself, by the way. Come back to Ohio State, but go fuck yourself for the pros.
That's why I have him as an ish, because I would love to just give him my full nut, but it's so hard to kind of look past everything and just say, like, wow, what a player, when everything is saying this whole team was dog water. But he really was, like, a bright spot on a really bad team.
I can understand why you would say, like, a milky nut or a bluish nut. For me, he's just a nut. I mean, totally over 1,300 yards if you want to count. If you want to combine receiving and rushing together. 266 carries for 975 yards. And the touchdowns were low. I will not deny that. But, again, this team couldn't score in a wet paper bag. But he had 55 receptions for 346 yards. And he played all 17 games. You know, he really did fantastic for what was given to him. Geno Smith as your quarterback. And Brock Bowers, you know, a couple other weapons in there. He became he showed why he was drafted and why he is important and why, for me, he's a nut.
He's a generational talent, and I'm excited to see what comes from him. I don't want to get into, like, who they should have drafted and all that, because it's kind of a moot point. Should they have drafted the line? Yes. Did they? No. So this is what we have to look at. As far as, like, I understand drafting him when they did, because he is that good.
Yeah.
But it's just really hard to say with this line. I think the most telling stats are the making the people miss stat. That has probably a better name than I'm giving it. And then the yards after contact being, like, all of his rushing yards. He so rarely could just, like, have a clean lane to actually run the ball. And that's a testament to how good he is that he had any production despite that.
And the other issue we're going to have is that they are going to probably draft Fernando Mendoza first overall, which means they can't really build that lineup right away. So you might have kind of the same issues. But, however, again, this coming year, however, if Kubiak is the coach, he's going to find a way to kind of negate that. And the other issue is there was such great offensive line talent in this first round alone that you were like, man, did you really need Genty? Could you have just built that line, protect your quarterback of the future or Geno Smith or whomever. So, again, I think we said for like these other teams, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
You don't know.
And I think the line did regress a bit, so you don't expect it to be as bad as it is. Obviously, if we just look at the next pick after them, Armin Menbo is like a generational tackle. So, like, obviously that would have been really good for them this year, but they didn't take him. They took Ashton Genty, and he did show why he was a 6th overall pick, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Even if there's some question marks around it for me.
But, what comes before 6? 5. With a trade that you wrote down, because I didn't really give a shit about that, to be honest.
Yes, we have the Jags traded down from the 5th overall pick. They traded up. They traded up to Cleveland to get the 2nd overall pick. To Cleveland, they traded a 2025 2nd, 4th, and their 2026 first-round pick. So they traded 3 picks to get to this one, and obviously that first-round pick. So they traded from 5 to 2, giving up a lot.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about it as a sympathizer, but that gave them Mason Graham out of the school up north. For me, Mason is a bluish nut.
I have him as a nut.
He's nut borderline for me. I mean, the problem is that there's a lot of great defensive players on this team
for sure,
and he just probably wasn't able to show anything. Granted, he played all 17 games. He had 49 tackles, only half a sack. But I think the biggest reason for me is that he did get that nut is he did get all rookie honors, and he was 2nd in quarterback pressure, just behind Myles Garrett. So
I think it was a big part of Myles getting the sack record. I mean, Myles has really sung his praises, and I think you can see it when you really watch the games. But his stats are not phenomenal. You'd love to see the sacks be a little bit better and less just like tackles and pressures. But I really think this is a great pickup. Did the Browns need a defensive player? Another conversation. But they took him, and I think he looked really good. And I think you're really positive for his outlook into the future. I really like this pickup, and I love the trade. I think the Browns made out like bandits with this trade.
Yeah, no, I like the trade overall. I really do. However, there's just so much the Browns need. And honestly, okay. I think I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Jimmy Haslam, from a Brown sympathizer and from the Dog Pound, sell the fucking team, please. Get out of it. Go back to Flying J forever. Don't come back. Give it to somebody who at least will try and not make it a fucking clown show, the circus, the jokers, whatever you want to fucking say. You're a piece of shit. Go fuck yourself.
I think it's funnier when the Browns are bad. I like it better.
I hope the Ravens choke.
I hope they don't. That'll bring us to Will Campbell out of LSU, an offensive tackle, drafted number 4 overall for
AFC
the Patriots.
champion, by the way.
Yep. Go fuck yourself. That's going to be a blue for me. I think he looked pretty good, but he got beat down a few times. The line in general was pretty bad this year, but there's a lot of like fairly young talent there, so I'm not going to fully just be like, oh, he's trash. I think he looked pretty damn good when he looked good, but there was a lot of pressures in there. There was some sacks, I don't think that he is – I think he just needed a little bit more time to develop. As we've seen him get further down the stretch, I think he looks better and better. So I think the outlook is looking really good, but he's not quite enough for me.
For me, I gave him a nut. He only played in 13 games, regular season, of course. Took 782 snaps, allowed 5 sacks, only had 7 penalties. So he had an MCL sprain, right? So before the MCL sprain, he was great at a 76.1 after a 72.6. So a bit of a drop.
Yeah,
but
might have been playing a little injured, but yeah.
But I think he did the best he could with what he had, and a lot of people have been nagging him. He's got short arms, he's not built for the NFL. But he's shown. Also, he has shown he's loyal to the quarterback. He's ready to do where he can. I'll die on that field for him. I don't know about all that bullshit, but he's
ready to go to war, baby.
Yeah.
And he showed it. I really like his outlook. I just don't think he always looked superb. The injury didn't help. The line play was pretty bad. So I like his outlook for the future, but I didn't love him this year.
he was one of the bright spots though in that line, and I think
yeah.
that's part of the reason why he got that nut for me. But however, the guy who I did get some blues from is the boys in blue in New York from the Giants, Mr. Abdul Carter out of Penn State, which honestly, this guy should have been a fucking nut. He should have been a goddamn nut.
There's so much to say about Abdul Carter. I think when he was playing, the stats don't show it great. This is very much a film guide because I think Brian Burns, he's a great edge rusher, but he did kind of gobble up a lot of the sacks that could have been Carter's. The pressures were great. He looks so good on that
field.
God. He warrants a third pick.
Yes.
He is the best edge rusher out of this class.
Real quick. 43 tackles, 4 sacks, but 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, played in all 17 games. So honestly, this man, like I said, should be a fucking nut.
He should be, and it unfortunately comes down to the off the fields.
Yes. Get your shit together.
I will give him a decent amount of leeway because the team situation is awful. The coach was fired. The whole team was up and down. There was a lot of losses. I don't blame him for kind of just checking out a little bit. And this is all behind the scenes stuff, so I don't know how much of it you can give 100% validity to. But there's a lot of issues with meetings and just taking it seriously and things like that. On the field, a monster. Warrants the spot. Off the field, we'll just have to see. In a better situation, I hope that he can be corralled a little bit and will hopefully kind of like just take that performance to all sides. But as of now, he is a blue for me as well. And I just hope that he can kind of get it together, unfortunately.
Agreed. I do think this man should be, like I said, maybe last time I'm going to say it, should be nut. He's a blue for me because of attitude, off-field stuff. If he can get his shit together, this guy's an automatic nut, and I hope next year he certainly is. But that brings us to our top 2 draft choices.
And I want you to talk about Travis Hunter for a second while I go potty.
Oh, right. Travis Hunter. So, for him, this is a trade, like we said, from the Browns. Hope you can fit.
I always fit, baby girl.
I'll have to ask. So, Travis Hunter, he, for me, is a bust. The man got injured. Okay. Let's talk about some stats. 28 catches. 298 yards. He only played in 7 games. Had a 62.2% catch rate. On the defensive side, he had 11 tackles, 1 pass breakup. So, if we want to look at that, he is better on offense than he is on defense, just by that alone. Which means, in my brain, we focus on the offensive side of the ball. Be a wide receiver. Sir, this is the NFL. And obviously, I've never played in the NFL. I never will play in the NFL. 1, I'm too short, I'm too fat, and I'm too old. But, dude, you're not going to get paid more because you play both sides. You're not doing anything but breaking down your body faster. These are grown men that are elite in their sport. You are going to break down so fast from a biological and anatomical standpoint. You're only going to have a 5-year career, I'm guessing. You were hurt for the majority of your first season, your rookie season. Travis, pick a goddamn side. And if it's defense, great. Focus on that. Be great. Get those interceptions. Use that wide receiver ability to get that. Okay? But you need to pick a side. Because here's, again, 28 catches for 298 yards. That's not bad. And a great catch percentage. Your defense was mid, my friend, which is why you get busts for me, because you're trying too goddamn hard to be this all-around player. I can do it. Be a fucking man and own up that you're wrong and pick a side.
So I actually disagree, but not entirely. I also have him as a bust-ish. I actually like him better on the defensive side of the ball than I do as a wide receiver.
And that's fine.
I think his wide receiver play was just okay. You know, he didn't really get used that much, to be fair. They were trying so hard to, like, find a usage for him, and it just wasn't really panning out. Meanwhile, on the defensive side of the ball, I think part of the reason his stats don't look that good is because he was covering so well that no one wanted to throw to the person he was covering. Like, he actually looked really good on film. I like him a lot as a corner, but he didn't play that all the time. He played back and forth, and maybe he can make that work, but I do agree with everything else you said. I think you just got to pick a side of the ball. I like you better as a corner, as much as it's not the sexy option. If you want to keep jumping sides, I think you're just going to stunt your development, and we're not going to see your full potential as a player that could be really, really top tier at one or the other. Just, you kind of got to pick one. He got injured this year. It's a limited sample size, but I do think this trade for the picks for the Jaguars was awful in hindsight. I didn't like it at the time because I just didn't think Travis Hunter was going to translate great to the NFL. So I'm not even going to give the full hindsight benefit to the Jags on this one. I don't think you should draft a player like this high. Obviously a great talent, obviously has a lot that he can improve on, but do you really want a guy that's doing everything, or do you just want a guy that will do the thing you need him to do? And I don't think he really did that great at either because he was too busy worrying about the other. So we'll just
Agreed.
have to see with him into the future. I think the goal for Liam Cohen was potentially he was going to be the Jacoby Myers, and then it just ended up that Myers was way better at it. So I don't know what his future looks like, honestly, on this team.
So we can talk about how Belichick should be first rounder is in the first round. A first ballot Hall of Famer isn't. How he was better with Brady than he was without. Blah 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 blah. The one thing that he was known for was saying, "Do your job," right? And when everybody did their fucking job, and it was defined what their job was, they won. And they were a dynasty, and they were very upsetting and terrifying and annoying as fuck. But this man doesn't do his job because he doesn't know what his job is. So, pick a job. Be good at it. Be great at it. And, man, just... No, so caveat here. We don't want any of these guys to not succeed.
No, I'd love to see everybody on this list improve. Like, even the one, Shamar Stewart, we talked the most mess about. I'd love to see him succeed.
Yes.
I would love to see Travis Hunter succeed. He is a player that I've had the most doubts about.
Agreed.
Like, going into the draft and through the whole season. And he definitely, by the numbers, looks like a massive bust. I'd love to see him really thrive. I think he absolutely can. Travis Hunter has a ton of talent.
Yes.
You don't play both sides of the ball and win the Heisman without a ton of talent.
But that was college.
It's college. This is a very different game. You're getting hit a lot harder. It's a lot more on you, and I just feel like we are seeing the effects of that. We'll see.
And we saw it in 7 games. The deterioration was that fast.
You just can't expect to play that much and hold together,
So pick a job, do your job, go fucking win. Which brings us to number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward out of Miami to the Tennessee Titans. For me, and grant you, the stats do not say this, but the tape does. He's a nut.
Could you pass me a beer? Because there's something I need to do.
Like an empty one or a full one?
A full one.
Okay, it's not taped.
We're not going to be taped. I'm just going to hide it.
Okay.
I've got a little wall over here.
I'm going to pass it underneath the table.
Oh, wow, we're so sneaky. I just want to crack into what made Cam Ward so good this year. This man, we're hidden. The stats don't show it. The team
Not even a little bit.
is bad. The team's bad. The receiving corps, awful. When you really look at what he did down the stretch, perfect. Hidden forever. When you really look at what he did down the stretch, Cam Ward had some of those impossible throws. He made one of the best passes that won't count when he full body sideways did a sidearm pass to a man for a first down and then it was pulled back by a penalty. Like, Cam Ward is that guy. He showed it. He's obviously got some rookie stuff to work out. I think he held onto the ball too long at times, but also he had no help out there, an impossibly low amount of help. No shade to any of the receivers on the Titans, but it just wasn't there.
And he got to about, I round up the numbers, by the way. He got to about 60%, approximately 60% passing completion, which is what you want as a pro. You want to be 65 or more. But what he was playing with, that in fact they got so close to 60, I'm rounding up. That's fantastic. I mean, he 15 touchdowns to seven interceptions, over 3,000 yards with the garbage, if you will. He started all the games. But, and again, the stats do not say, but you look at the tape, especially towards the end of the year,
Yeah, down
he
the
was
stretch.
looking fantastic. I'm so excited to see what Brian Dable can do with him.
Yeah, I think this is a super exciting player. Does he warrant the number 1 overall spot? I don't know. But as far as like a QB in this league, I think Cam Ward has a really bright future. I think he's probably the strongest QB out of this draft, honestly. It's either him or Tyler Shuck for me, and I do think Cam Ward is a stronger pick. Just had a worse situation. So I'm excited to see what comes for him. I think he's a very strong talent. I think he learned a lot over this first year, and I really liked his personality throughout the season, honestly, the way that he was just like, we fucking suck. Obviously not the best way to go about it for your team, but he's realistic. He did a pretty good job like handling media. Like, I just really think you got a franchise guy here, and I just hope they don't fucking ruin him is what it comes down to. So I hope Saleh, I imagine he already knows like how important Cam Ward's development is to this team. So we'll see.
It sounds, and it looks like, not sounds like, it looks like the ownership got their heads out of their asses. Because honestly, if Vrabel is still there, I don't think we have these problems. But Vrabel, now the Patriots, where he kind of belongs, actually, let's be honest. But they got their heads out of their asses, hired a grown-up. The grown-up hired another grown-up to help with this. And like you and I have said, Daboll is great at the scheme, great at development. Maybe not a CEO. Saleh, we've seen him do it, do his best as a CEO. He can do it. Is he great as a defensive coordinator? Yes. And will that side of the ball be amazing next year? I think so, and I don't like saying that. But he is a grown-up. He's not a Freddie Kitchens. He's not a Zach Taylor. He's not any of these other shitty-ass coaches from the past. He can do it. So I think the nut is still there. Caveat being, we need to see growth, but I do believe we're going to see growth.
I think we saw enough growth this year that I am pretty confident nutting for Cam Ward.
I think we all have nutted for Cam Ward at least once in our life. So that was our game, a little early, a little long, but that's all right. When you have a nut, it usually is. Nut, bust, or the blues.
And now we'll jump into our last couple of topics here before we wrap it up. The top 10 free agents to hit the market this year.
So, for me, I think you and I have some similar ones. I think, for me, Malik Willis as a quarterback is number one because he showed really great flashes as the backup for Green Bay, whether it be to the Browns, whether it be to the Vikings, hear me out, to
The Colts?
to the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, Matt seemed like, hey bro, here's the stuff on Malik. Let me try to convince him to go your way. Or maybe he stays on. I think he could stay on as the backup, but I do think he could be very strong in a certain situation as a bridge quarterback, like in Arizona. Because I don't think Kyler Murray is there anymore.
No, I think Kyler Murray's time is kind of done. I think we saw that through this season. He was injured. It seems like they're kind of ready to move off of Kyler Murray. So we'll see what happens when a new coach comes in. But
so do you think he stays or he goes?
I think he does go unless he gets a pretty good contract. We've seen a few backup quarterbacks really step up this year. Davis Mills, but I don't think he's going anywhere. We saw Mac Jones, but his contract's not quite up yet. I do think Malik Willis is the most interesting, backup quarterback to step up from this season. He looked phenomenal in his limited play time. And I really think that he goes to a team like the Vikings and ends up being their starting quarterback when they give up on the J.J. McCarthy experiment, honestly.
I can see that. For me, I think you and I Also have this George Pickens. He's wide receiver 1.
Huge. And I did want to mention, all of these are, this is early in free agency. Obviously, these guys could get a contract with their current teams and blah, 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 blah. But as of now, they are scheduled to be free agents.
Yep. And I do think also we'll talk about like the big free agent signings, who goes where, what's big for the team, what works out. For me, George, if the money is correct, because he's going to want a good contract. And
I just don't know if they, and that's even what they've said, I don't know if they have the money to pay him because he showed out like a wide receiver 1 through a lot of this year. We saw the Pickens fall apart. We saw him kind of come back. So it's going to take a good team, a good coach more than anything to keep him in line. But he's a wide receiver 1. He's shown that throughout this season.
So if the money is right, he'll stay. But if it's not, he will go somewhere. The problem is I don't know who has the temperament as a coach to deal with him. I think Shanahan could. I think Peyton could. I don't think he would do well with us.
I think he'd do well on the Patriots potentially.
Maybe, but
I think there's some good teams for him to land on, and he is an incredible talent. He is absolutely a wide receiver 1. He can go anywhere and be their wide receiver 1. The problem is you have to corral him, and he needs production. He is not a super polite, like, do the right thing for the media guy. He is I want to get the ball, and he will show it on the field if he is
the diva wide receiver that we've talked about. I think, he needs to go somewhere with strong coaching, and I think there's a lot of strong coaching, but I think there's a lot of strong coaching that already has a good situation with their receivers.
We're just going to need to see if anybody wants that wide receiver 1 because I don't think he settles for wide receiver 2 anywhere outside of the Cowboys on a big contract. So we'll just have to see. There's teams that need a wide receiver 1, but do you want to deal with him at the same time?
Okay. You know who needs a wide receiver? It's Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, they do.
And Andy Reid is the guy who could do it.
Andy Reid has shown that he can corral. I mean, he did it with Tyreek Hill. So he absolutely could do it.
And Eric Bieniemy is coming back, who also dealt with Tyreek. So I think,
honestly, I think he'd be great in Kansas City. But the problem, I don't think Kansas City wants to win right now if they're smart. So I don't love him as a pickup because that's a win right now pickup. He's going to cost a lot today.
Yes.
So if they're trying to run it back, absolutely grab George Pickens. Hands down.
His best bet would be to stay as a Cowboy, take a 1-year deal for less money, and then see who needs a player next year.
I do agree because I think there's a lot of teams that almost need a wide receiver 1, but they don't need it today.
Bills.
I think if honestly, the Bills.
But
I don't think Joe Brady's ready to handle a difficult player. It's his first time head coaching.
Correct.
So, I think there's a lot of places he could go. He could go to the Ravens. Zay Flowers is phenomenal, but he's honestly more of a slot wide receiver 2. He's not a full wide receiver 1 in my opinion. There's a lot of places that could use him. Will any of them take him? I don't know. But George Pickens is a really big, one of the better talents in this entire free agency. Another one, a less sexy pick that I have, because we have had the same 2 so far, Tyler Linderbaum, the center for the Ravens. One of the best centers in the league, honestly.
I can see why. Except for, I think the Ravens re-sign him. I think he stays with them.
I imagine they do, honestly. I'd be surprised
if he doesn't, he's going to be a hot commodity, and I think a lot of teams that are ready to win now maybe don't have strong offensive line play. Texans.
There's so many teams that could massively benefit. Vikings, Texans, God, who else? Chargers,
Tampa.
There's a lot of teams that could really benefit from his, he is a super strong center. One of the best that we still have after losing some of the best ones in, Jason Kelsey and stuff like that. He's one of the best centers out there. So I would be blown away if the Ravens let him walk. I'd franchise tag him if I couldn't get to a deal, honestly. But
I don't think he walks. I
don't think so either.
I think Jesse has, being there as long as he was with John Harbaugh, he has that camaraderie. He has that knowledge and know-how. And, if Lamar likes him, which I don't know, but if Lamar loves him, he's like
Lamar doesn't talk about anybody else, it feels like, so
No.
I don't know.
So that'd be great. Another one I don't think you have down is Reed Blankenship from the Eagles. That's kind of big, and I'll tell you why.
What's his position?
He is a safety.
Okay.
But he's part of the championship. He has championship DNA.
For sure.
Great. He's great for depth, right? Is he Cooper DeJean? Is he these other guys? No. But he's big in the fact that he knows what the fuck he's doing, comes from championship pedigree, and he is stout as a defensive player. So even if he's not a starter, he's really good depth for somebody who could use it like the Chicago Bears. They could really use someone like Reed on their team. Miami could also use them, especially with Jeff Hafley coming coming from a defensive coordinator to a head coach. He's going to want to beef up that defensive side of the ball. That's a great way. Also could use him. Minnesota. I mean, Brian Flores would love a guy like Reed.
There's a lot of places I think he could land that would be really happy with him. I don't foresee the Eagles trying super hard to keep him because they just have such a strong, honestly, across the board defense that with a lot of rookies, they're just so good at drafting. So he could end up a lot of places. That is a really nice selection. I respect that a lot, honestly. There's a lot of teams. I think it'd be quicker to name the teams that don't want him than do.
Correct. Honestly, we don't really need him except for depth.
Well, but it doesn't hurt to have that veteran presence. It's not even like he's ancient or something veteran, but he's won a Super Bowl, and that has merit. You need guys that have won a Super Bowl to win one a lot of the time. It's just a different game.
A lot of teams might just take him off and sign him just to take him off the field, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. Another one that I have is Alec Pierce. I think this is the second best and potentially the best wide receiver in the free agency class because it doesn't come with the same drama as a George Pickens. Alec Pierce can do kind of whatever you need him to. He's a big receiver. He gets the ball. He makes it happen. He had one of his best games towards the end of the season, and he's shown that he is a very strong player. I don't think he is a slam dunk wide receiver one, but I do think he's an extremely strong wide receiver, and honestly, his best landing spot, well, the team that wants him the most, I think, is the Bills because he is that do-everything receiver that they desperately need.
So I see your point, and I can see where you're going with it, and I can agree with it. However, I think he is a Colt, and I think he stays, especially if Daniel Jones stays. He's great for depth. He's great as a 2 or a 3, but I think also because of that he won't garner as much money as someone like a George Pickens. So that could be a reason why he leaves. But I think if they keep Daniel Jones and everything, he will stay as a Colt. That's what I'm thinking. I just don't know
because that team has a lot of questions right now. They're probably going to come into next year looking worse than they did this year, and they gave up a lot to sell out for this year. So I would not be blown away by him going somewhere else, especially if the money's right. And I think if Buffalo's smart, they're going to be whispering at him right now because I think they are the team that needs a receiver like that the most of anybody.
Well, I will say if he does go to the Bills, he does bring a certain pedigree where he has that work ethic that would help somebody like Keon Coleman to get to where he needs to be as a pro. One who I don't think you have is Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons.
That's because I think he stays.
So
I looked at him very seriously, but I don't see him going.
I do. So here's the thing. I do think he also stays, but if Stefanski wasn't coming or hadn't come, I don't think he would stay.
True.
Because they've had he's supposed to be this great tight end, right? And he hasn't really been able to show it. Now, lately more, he's been able to the past 2 years. First couple years, though, this is a great guy.
I would even
he's kind of dog water.
This year. I think this was his breakout year. He was supposed to come in and be that generational difference maker tight end, and he really hasn't been until now.
Correct.
This past season, he looked truly so much better.
So good.
Because they just started getting him the ball a lot more,
and I think
he made it work.
Bring in Bijan to kind of take that pressure off of him also helped a lot as well.
Oh, yeah.
Bijan able to run up the middle. He's able to block, and then that sets up the play action.
And then you've got the triple threat. You've got Drake London, who can catch anything. He's not the fastest, but he gets it done. Bijan Robinson is, a disgusting monster of a player.
Could
and
be
then Kyle Pitts is up
top
there,
one,
kind of pushing the big wide receiver role. So if he doesn't stay, he's going to be He like every team can benefit from
And what I
him.
will
He's
say,
one of the best tight ends in the league when he's like at his peak.
when he's on, as a tight end, and since he didn't get as much wear and tear as maybe as he could have, he has quite a bit of a career left if he does it right.
He really did not get a ton of usage, so he's low key at like rookie level banged up. So I very much think he is a like hot commodity. I just don't foresee them letting him walk because he is their tight end.
Yes.
Like there's not really even a second choice after Kyle.
But I do think if Stefanski wasn't hired as the coach, he would have walked.
100%, and I wouldn't have blamed him.
But
last one I have is Breece Hall.
fun fact, that's the last one that I have.
I think this is the strongest running back in the free agency, and this is a team that I don't know why he'd go back.
No, that's exactly my point. The Jets are a dumpster fire. It's the fucking Jets. It's the goddamn Bengals. It's the fucking Browns. It's the goddamn Raiders.
And
all in the AFC, by the way.
Yeah, everyone but Garrett Wilson pretty much is gone from the Jets. Like all of their notable stars are gone, except Garrett Wilson, Quinnen Williams, and Sauce Gardner are gone. It's Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I would not be surprised at all if Breece Hall walked, and that's a very, very good running back. I don't think he's
Fantastic
top 5, but I think he's like top 10. He's an exceptional player, and there's a lot of places he could end up that would be ecstatic to have him.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is definitely one that I think would be someone to monitor because you would have to give him such a bag for him to come back to the Jets.
Oh, and even then, if he wants to win, he does not go back to the Jets. I don't think he will. I think he's had such a bad experience and the Jets is such a toxic environment with bad ownership that he does go somewhere else. And I think, honestly, I don't have money, but I'd bet money on it to be like, he gone.
The tough thing, though, is like we've seen a lot of people like that, and then the right amount of money wafts their way. Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, those are both defensive ends, but it doesn't really matter when the money's right. Sometimes it's just too right. So maybe there's an amount, but
while they have Tony Pollard, I do think he reunites possibly with Robert Saleh in Tennessee, helps out Cam Ward, who would be the best quarterback he's had in the fucking pros. It's ever because you think he had Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he got Sam Darnold. He had fucking Mike Wilson of all things, but he can go there. Also, he'd be honestly great with the fucking Cincinnati Bengals. I know they have
Zach Brown, but he was not incredible. He's
good.
Some flashes. He's very solid. Texans could also benefit. I mean, Joe Mixon is like such a question mark right now,
and that's the problem. And we got some good guys with Woody and Chubb as the backup, but
we don't really have that top tier guy. There's a lot of teams that can really benefit from a Breece Hall because that is a running back one, like a definitive.
Oh, yeah.
He is a RB1 guy. So I think he can kind of have his pick, but it just comes down to if he is willing to let the money not talk too loud, and we'll see. But I don't foresee the Jets getting that deal done unless they're really willing to sell everything. But they kind of can. They don't have that much expensive talent right now. They have like Garrett Wilson is it. So, and he might even be on a rookie contract. I don't remember.
Another thought here, by the way, is if they kind of do some finagling, is you could possibly go to the Vikings because they don't have a strong.
Aaron Jones is pretty good.
He's pretty good, but he's not Breece Hall.
Up a lot, and
he's also not what he used to be. He's not the guy he was 5-6 years ago.
No, he's been banged up a lot. He's older. He was injured a lot of this season. I think he's pushing 30 now. That is kind of the expiration date for a lot of running backs, unfortunately. So he very easily could go to the Vikings. I could see them picking up Breece Hall and Malik Willis and looking like a much stronger team off of free agency, and then you draft some line, and they're right back to like top of the NFC North. So
absolutely,
we'll see. But I think all of these 5 are like, honestly, all of the ones that we both picked are pretty spicy. And we'll just have to see where they end up. And some of these guys, I definitely think like Linderbaum. I think he would be very surprised if he walked, but he is listed as a free agent as of now.
Yeah. And obviously with the coaching change or anything like that, they're going to take some time, kind of go through what they want to game plan as and finish putting their staffs together and their coaching plan and whatnot. But, folks, it is almost the end of the football season. This is the last week. We have Pro Bowl. we have the game of the year, the Super Bowl, between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. I know we've talked about this extensively. There's so many great things we're going to talk about next week with what happened during the Super Bowl, what's going to happen in free agency and whatnot. But definitively,
awards.
Yeah, and awards especially, we gotta pick who we think's going to win.
You want to go first or second?
I would like to go first, and I'm going to kind of talk about my choice here a little bit. Both these coaches have never been to the Super Bowl as coaches. However, Mike Vrabel has been there as a player. And the Patriots have a championship pedigree. However, the Seahawks also have a bit of a championship pedigree from their couple of their Super Bowls.
Legion of Boom.
Here comes the anyway. This is going to be so there's two ways this game is going to go. It's going to be very close, a touchdown or less, or it's going to be a blowout. There's no in between. I do think though, Drake May is going to show his inexperience. His shoulder is apparently a little fucked up. The offensive line is going to show their ass a little bit. And I do think the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold win Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium.
Wow. Going with the favorite. But I'm not. I think the Patriots win. I do agree with everything you just said. I think it's either a Seattle blowout, like they just destroy the Pats, or it's going to be an extremely tight game and the Patriots narrowly take it. That defense is playing up. I do take Drake May over Sam Darnold. I think he is the stronger quarterback. We haven't really seen it in the playoffs, but I will attribute a decent amount of that to the extremely strong defenses he's played against, which I don't think Seattle is a knock by any means, but they are not the Texans or the Broncos.
No.
And he's been playing in much worse weather. I think Drake May and the magic the Patriots are riding on somehow takes this game. And by the numbers, I have no defense for that. I don't think there's any reason statistically that the Pats take this, but the magic has aligned. The easiest schedule, the easiest playoff run in a lot of ways. Obviously, a lot of defense and bad weather, but the worst offensive lines twice, and then a backup quarterback. It feels like it's a Patriots year.
It's very much reminiscent of the early dynasty, Tom and Bill. Whatever black magic Robert Kraft did with you all, he's done it again.
It kind of feels like it. It really feels like the magic is pointing Pats. I would not put money on it because I think by all accounts the Seahawks should win this game. They seem like the more complete team. They have more experience. But I really feel like the Patriots win this somehow. And I don't even really know what to point to. Trevion Henderson is an X factor. He explodes for huge runs. Drake May is an X factor. He does phenomenal things at quarterback when he's playing well.
What I will say,
the defense is really playing up, but I don't know.
What I will say is that there is always each team complements each other in their own way. There is a counter. So, for example, Trevion Henderson, Walker. Drake May, Sam Darnold when he's on. Receivers, there's Diggs, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba.
Yeah, and if we're talking like the best offensive player here outside of the quarterback position, it's
Jackson,
JSN.
Smith,
like
and
not
Jigba.
Even close. No one on the Patriots has nearly the impact on a game that JSN does. But
the other thing that I will say also, and I did not fail to mention this, is that Josh McDaniels is a champion, and he has that pedigree. He's been here so many times. So here's the thing: I can see the Patriots winning, and that will not bother me. This run of the Patriots currently does not bother me. I like it. I like Vrabel. I like Drake May. I think this is a really good combination. This is pretty different from what we had with Belichick and with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to stick to my guns, and I will say the Seahawks win. But I do see Drake May and Vrabel coming back.
Oh, yeah. I think they'll be back. I have more questions about this Seahawks team coming back. Like, I could see them maybe being back next year, but I don't foresee...
Especially if they lose Kubiak.
If they lose Kubiak, I do think this team looks a lot different next year. But Yeah, I don't know. I really lean Patriots just narrowly. I think the Magic carries them. I think it's going to be a great game, or it's going to be an
I'm
absolute fucking
so
demolish
excited, though.
blowout. But
The ending to one of the most interesting, confusing, wonderful, irritating NFL seasons in recent memory.
and doesn't it just feel like in the most confusing season of all time, we get the underdog win in the Super Bowl?
What if, hear me out,
It's a tie.
no. What if there's a crazy catch by Jackson Smith and Jigba where it bounces kind of like off his tummy, and he's on his ass, and he catches it, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to let Kenneth Walker run it from the 1 yard line, and Sam Darnold throws it where Christian Gonzalez comes and intercepts the ball on the 1 yard line, and it's literally the Matrix repeating.
A fucking repeat of the Seahawks.
I will
tragic
blow
loss.
my goddamn top off. I'll be pissed. Like it's, and I will actually say it's fucking scripted at that point.
That'd be crazy. But I think we'll see. I really do believe this is either an extremely tight and extremely interesting Super Bowl. And I'm not even banking on like a Darnold pumpkin game. I don't foresee that happening. I think he's been playing really well in the playoffs. I don't think he's going to have like one of those crazy turnover games. I just feel like somehow the Patriots like bleed it out in like a barely up by 3 points kind of game.
Absolutely. I am so excited for this game. It's going to be
It's going to be a knee slapper.
It's going to be very good. By the way, real quick.
He's typing, folks. I'm going to give you the play-by-play. He's just typed something in. He's Googled it.
Real quick, it is this Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I believe it's on the NBC networks, whether it be Peacock or NBC itself. So, hey, at least it's not a Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl with Chris Collinsworth. Oh, my God. I would watch it with the sound off.
Do you think the Super Bowl is better without Patrick Mahomes in it?
I think that we're going to find out this year. And
That's well said.
So real quick,
Last Super Bowl was really bad.
It was
really,
so
really
fucking bad.
That was like one of the worst Super Bowls to watch in a while.
Not as bad as the Peyton Manning Seahawks versus the Seahawks. That was fucking awful.
That was pretty fucking atrocious.
I
But this last one was damn near close. Like
What
they
I-
put backups in. If I remember right. That's bad.
Yeah, and they still did great. What I will say, I remember that game because I was at an establishment in the state of Ohio. We were like, okay, Peyton Manning's gonna turn it on, and he never fucking did. Real quick, if you all have comments, by the way, please comment what food you're gonna have at the Super Bowl, at your parties or whatever. Because guy number one, what food are you wanting at our Super Bowl shindig?
Nachos.
Oh, well, I know what that means. Okay. I personally would love to have some wings. I think wings would be great. I'm excited for
Cheese curds.
yeah, that'd be great. I also want some Tums or any antacid.
No, I want to feel the pain, just like the players out there. I want to be going through it.
Except for you're going through it in the shitter.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you for listening. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Please, we can say this now, by the way. Catch us on YouTube on our channel, Cracking a Cold One, and also on Spotify, Cracking a Cold One Podcast. That's fun to say now, actually.
That is fun. We're like officially official now.
That's kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So, thank you all again. This is one of the guys, Christian.
This is the other one, Grayson.
And have a great night.
I love you. You specifically. Listening right now, looking at me.
I tip my hat to you.
I love you.
You know who you are.